Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis on November 20th, and today I want to do a quick update on two things. Normally I like to keep each video topic about one topic, but these are kind of two quick things, so I'm just going to combine them. One is that I want to do an update on the Walkeriana spikes behind me as these buds are getting larger and larger. I think it's really fun to do these kinds of updates. And also, I want to show you the Catasetum that I pollinated about a month ago, I guess. Good news is both of those pollen pods have taken and are now growing larger. So let's turn the camera around and take a look at the Walkerianas and the Catasetum. Hey, here's those Walkerianas I was talking about. But first, I need to get the board of wood out of the way. And for those who have not been following along, the board of wood is to prevent night light from coming in from my neighbor's house who turns a porch light on at night. And that prevents Walkerianas from blooming. So I devised this little technique to block out the light. And as you can see, so far so good. So here is the Walkeriana, the largest one that's blooming, or that's spiking I should say. You can see these buds here are doing pretty nicely. In fact, after this, what I want to do is I'm going to take this and use a stake to kind of hold it out here so that these flowers can open up without interfering with one another. So as you can see in the way that it is now, as these buds open, they'll sort of interfere with how the opening goes, and it just won't look as nice. And if this is a show quality blooming, I'd like to have those flowers available for the judges to look at it in sort of a pleasing manner, as you can imagine. Of course, I have some other spikes. I'm not really sure what happened with this one. It looks like the buds have fallen off for some reason, but I also have this spike down here. I have this spike way back here that my finger's touching and the camera's not really focusing in on. And then I also have these buds over here. But as these ones are maturing, you can kind of see they're starting to color up. You know, I'm expecting this to be a pink bloom, sort of a standard Walkeriana bloom, but we'll see. I hope that's true, or you know, maybe another color variety would work as well. I have one of the smaller ones that's got a first bloom here. You can see this is from Luis Hamilton Lima's collection, or his breeding collection, and that one's coming along quite nicely. I was really hoping that this Cerulean from H&R was going to bloom, but I don't see anything coming out. This is Blue Titan by Self. And I've had it for a couple years and it's grown nicely, but I guess this year it's not interested in blooming. And then I have some more smaller, some more of Luis's that are getting ready to bloom here. I'm touching this spike here, and that will be a first bloom for me. And then I think there's one more in there that I'm not going to try and mess with, but get a little close-up of this guy. You can see how spiky it is. So it's this long pointed spike, and if it were a new growth, it would be much more rounded. And so that's it for these guys. Let's go check out that Catasetum. Alright, here is that Catasetum, that now pregnant Catasetum. As you can see, this is the name of the pod parent. I believe this one has actually been named rather than just being a cross like this, and I am totally blanking on what that name is. So if you know that name, put it in the comments, and maybe I'll pin it to the top of the comment list. So I crossed this one. The pollen parent for this one is Catasetum Black Knight. So this one, you can see a photo of what the flower looks like on the pollen parent, excuse me, on the pod parent, at least the male flower. And then I'm also showing a photo of the pollen parent, which is Catasetum Black Knight, which of course is tenebrosum by expansum. So if this comes to fruition and we get seeds out of these, viable seeds, that means that it'll be 50% tenebrosum, and I'm hoping for really dark flowers. I'm hoping for an interesting lip. The lip on the pollen parent is, or at least the callus, is that really nice white color. On the pod parent, it's that really nice green. So I'm curious to see what combination will come out of that for the callus, for the lip, and then of course the flowers should be overall dark, very dark on the petals and sepals. But who knows? The Catasetum expansum is a really variable species, and its hybrids are really variable as well. But after about a month, you can see how much swelling has happened with these pods already. So these are going to get large over the next 6 months or so. 6 to 9 months. So these, by the time I can harvest it, it should be maybe close to the size of a lemon for each one of these. And yeah, I'm gonna send one pod off to get flasked professionally, and then I'm planning to do a pod myself. I have a hood which I've never used. I've had it for a couple years now, and I haven't used it yet, so I need to make that happen. Also, if anyone's wondering what I'm going to do to take care of this plant during dormancy, you can see that this one's already started to shrivel a bit, so I'm going to add some water to this. It is not the time of year where we need to keep everything bone dry. That happens in the spring when the new growth is starting to put out new roots. That's when it needs to be bone dry. But keeping your back bulbs kind of fat leading up to that is a really good idea. And the fact that these have shriveled this much already means that it's not quite ready for a super dry rest. And you can see the lines here on the bulb where the leaves connect are still pretty white, which means to me they're not quite ready to fall off yet. You can see some of these lower ones have fallen off. And yeah, so I'm going to add a little bit of water. I added a little bit of water this morning, but I'm going to add a little bit more to this one since it is knocked up. But these pods are kind of attractive all on their own. Here, let me get this straight without having it fall over. Here we go. Kind of a cool shape, almost really pleasing all on its own. It's almost like another flower. So I'll do a couple update videos between now and harvest time, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.